DNA test being provided to connect African Americans to Africa. 12 Years a Slave, The African American Story, and the Book of Negroes. Is it any wonder why so many African Americans are confused? We won't address all the misleading DNA tests being provided to connect the Book of Negroes. Is it any wonder why so many African Americans are confused? We won't address all the misleading DNA tests being provided to connect African Americans. We won't address all the misleading DNA tests being provided to connect African Americans to Africa. So, they are confused. We won't address all the misleading DNA tests being provided to connect African Americans to Africa.
That's for my brother Legs.
So, the argument
he teach me how to rewind this thing one more time.
They start confused. We won't address all the misleading DNA tests being provided to connect African Americans to Africa. So, the argument is, do they continue identifying as African Americans, which is a fake identity for them, or embrace being identified as indigenous Americans?
Are there any consequences of choosing one identity over the other?
William, that's a good question. According to African Americans Ain't Africans Facebook forum, identifying as African American is to quietly relinquish ancestral connections to America, connections that go back hundreds of thousands of years. A curious story, connections that go back hundreds of thousands of years. Quietly relinquish ancestral connections to America, connections that go back hundreds of thousands of years. A curious story, but one appropriate for February, which is Black History Month in the United States.
No, I said I was going to do the Dawes rolls. It's coming up shortly. I would like y'all to pay close attention because a lot of us were just going through the motions. Me, this is my first time hearing about the Dawes rolls and somebody explaining it. Everybody talks about it. Nobody ever goes in depth. How do you find out if your family's name is on Dawes roll? What I find strange is that my great-great-grandmama had on her birth certificate black, but then my mama got Negro. My grandmother, yeah, she had black. So it's just like they created the Freedmen's List and made them say they was black to keep the connection. But yeah, I'm going to dig into it and I'm not giving up. How about that?
Which was basically a census that made
beautiful copper color.
In the late 1800s, there was something called the Dawes Rolls, which was basically a census that made records of people's ethnic backgrounds in order to determine which Native American tribes would get certain land allotments and other benefits. After slavery, many black people were associated with some of these tribes by bloodline, through marriage, through adoption, and even servitude. And because they were associated with these tribes, many black people were entitled to many black people. In the late 1800s, there was something called the Dawes Rolls, which was basically a census that made records of people's ethnic backgrounds in order to determine which Native American tribes would get certain land allotments and other benefits. After slavery, many black people were associated with some of these tribes by bloodline, through marriage, through adoption, and even servitude. And because they were associated with these tribes, many black people were entitled to some of these benefits. The government did not want blacks to get these benefits, so they created a separate freedmen's list specifically for black people. They also started to list any full-blooded Native American who had African features as black because they didn't want them getting those benefits either. At the same time, they allowed white citizens to come in and pay money under the table to be listed as part Native American. 1895, 1896, when a lot of the whites found out the benefits that these blacks would be entitled to, a lot of whites went to the Dawes Commission and said, look, why don't you put my name on there? They said, but you're not an Indian, so that's what they said, well, I'll give you $5. So the rule got around, the policy got around that for $5 that a white could put his name on the Dawes rolls and be called himself an Indian and be entitled all these benefits, and all their children could be entitled all these benefits forever. And so that became known as what's called a $5 Indian.
And so if you go around now and check most of the Indians, the so-called Indians in America, about 90% of them are not even Indians. They're just whites now who are passing as Indians. And they're getting all the benefits. And they're not paying any taxes, getting free college education. They put up
what are your
benefits
benefits?
on the land that they don't live on. They have another home off and get all kind of benefits.
Iron Eyes Cody was another famous Native American
Let's
person.
go back.
He was in the media for years. In the 1970s, they utilized him for this.
Back hundreds of thousands of years. A curious story, but one appropriate for February, which is Black History Month in the United States.
Something called the Dawes Rolls, which was basically a census that made records of people's ethnic backgrounds in order to determine which Native American tribes would get certain land allotments and other benefits. After slavery, many black people were associated with some of these tribes by bloodline, through marriage, through adoption, and even servitude. And because they were associated with these tribes, many black people were entitled to some of these benefits. The government did not want blacks to get these benefits, so they created a separate freedmen's list specifically for black people. They also started to list any full-blooded Native American who had African features as black because they didn't want them getting those benefits either. At the same time, they allowed white citizens to come in and pay money under the table to be listed as part Native American.
1895, 1896, when a lot of the whites found out the benefits that these Indians, that these blacks are going to be entitled to, a lot of whites went to the Dawes Commission and said, look, why don't you put my name on there? And they said, but you're not an Indian. So that's what they said, well, I'll give you $5. So the rule got around, the policy got around that for $5 that a white could put his name on the Dawes rolls and be called himself an Indian and be entitled all these benefits, and all their children could be entitled all these benefits forever. And so that became known as what's called a $5 Indian. And so if you go around now and check most of the Indians, the so-called Indians in America, about 90% of them are not even Indians. They were just whites now who are passing as Indians. And they're getting all the benefits. And they're not paying any taxes, getting free college education. They put up a little reservation on the land that they don't live on. They have another home off and get all kind of benefits.
Iron Eyes Cody was another famous Native American person. He was in the media for years. In the 1970s, they utilized him for this pollution commercial. He was known as the Crying Indian. So he was a very well-known Native American in American culture. But the reality is, Iron Eyes Cody wasn't Native American at all. He was Sicilian. Both of his parents were from Sicily. So he didn't have one drop of Native American blood in him. He was another fake Indian.
100 years later, the Negro is still languishing in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. Now, have you ever wondered what that passage meant from Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech? I did, and what I found was one of the biggest secrets that's not really a secret at all, except to many African Americans, is they are not descended from Africans. I know, I was shocked too, so much so that I asked Africans, and they agreed African Americans weren't Africans. If you don't believe me, Google Arnaldus Montanus America and see the people he saw in 1671. Read books like The Black American Handbook for Survival through the 21st Century by Radine Amon-Ra, What Every African American Should Know by Carrie Davis, and Africans and Native Americans by Jack Forbes. I just can't believe schools aren't teaching this stuff. What a travesty.
And see, when you go to pages like this, you'll see they give you the runaround, hoping that you'll be like, forget it. And, you know, if this is it, you have to register, you have to purchase, you can't even access simple stuff to identify your roots. I mean, they make it nearly impossible. I'm just going to show you all what I just found recently. I went to, all these sites, Ancestry.com, all this. These are criminals. But I found my great-grandmother's information. Her name was Clyde Jackson. I remember her when I was younger, beautiful. That's when I still used to have visions. And I walked into my grandmother's room one day. She sent me in there. My great-grandma was there visiting. And I looked in the TV and I saw her in her casket. Maybe a month later, she passed. And it makes me tear up every time I think about it because it was just so surreal. When they told me, and I was maybe like 8, when they told me she passed, it wasn't surprised because I had already saw it. And I wished I paid more attention to those gifts. Like I said, if you dream that as a gift, you should be writing down your dreams. I dream now every now and then, random stuff. My last dream was about ants covering, I can't even remember my left or right leg. They were like piling on. I didn't know they were there until I felt the stinging, and then I looked down. I looked it up. I don't know what it means, but I take it like move your feet. We don't have time to be sitting around. Okay, so it just listed everybody who was in the household at the time of the census. This was in 1910, so this is relevant to this in the Dawes Rolls. I'm not gonna stop digging for my family's history because it's important for my children, and I don't have children now, but it's important for my offspring to know. I want more kids. I want them to know the truth. It listed everybody in the household, which at that time there were 8 people in the household. She was a housewife. I of course have my great grandfather's information too. And this is the census record. Now when I asked to print it out, I had to pay to become a member, print it out, and it's showing up this big. That's why I say these people are crooks and criminals. If you're going to give me something and I'm paying for it, why is it this small? It's because they don't want you to know. But that's okay. 1910, it's good documentation. I got birth certificates. I went to Georgia and got that. I'm not going to keep, I'm not going to give up. I just shared with you what the Dawes Rolls were. I'm going to continue to look into this probably sometime tomorrow. Like I said, it's after 2 here and I've been working. It's the only reason I'm making a video. I miss making y'all videos. I've been just trying to focus on getting us up out of here before the end of October. So, peace and power to everyone. J. Stu and Camellia, nothing but love and hugs. Y'all reach out to me. If you need anything and I have it, you can get it. I told J. Stu, email me, stylesbynina@hotmail.com. If I don't hear from you soon, then I'll just reach out to Harm Art to get your number. Like I said, peace and power to you all. Your boldness, your fearlessness has given me courage and hope. And I'm pretty sure, the whole family. Peace and power to you too. And I'm done.